Static on Channel 19. In the cramped apartment of a city too loud to care, Martin found a peculiar solace in the glow of an old television set. It wasn't just any TV, it was a relic from another era, one of those bulky cathode ray tubes encased in cheap faux wood paneling, its screen slightly convex as if bowing to the viewer. He had bought it at a garage sale for a pittance, a whim sparked by nostalgic longing more than anything else. The shopkeeper had chuckled, telling him, "This old thing's got a mind of its own, watch yourself." Martin had laughed too, amused by the idea. It began innocuously. One evening, as he rummaged through the channels surfing just to stave off loneliness, the TV flickered strangely, settling on Channel 19. Rather than the usual static accompanied by faint, ghost-like murmurs, there was something else. A live feed, crackling with grainy noise, of a woman in a small kitchen. She was chopping vegetables, humming a tune that Martin recognized as the classic, Greensleeves. He frowned. It felt oddly intimate, as if peering through the wrong window. The grandmother clock on Martin's wall chimed 8:15 p.m., simultaneous to the TV feed. Martin's pulse quickened when the woman, still oblivious to the unseen viewer, clutched her throat and collapsed. The screen flashed to static just as Martin's breath hitched. His fingers trembled on the remote as he checked the news on his phone. A headline confirmed it. Local woman found dead this evening, suspected choking incident. The woman from the feed. Martin blinked, convinced it was coincidence. The mind plays tricks in solitude. Yet, the next night, he was back to Channel 19 by 9:02 p.m., drawn by an irresistible pull. This time it was a man, an elderly gentleman sitting alone in his dimly lit living room, polishing a pair of old glasses. The TV crackled gently, the glow illuminating the man's trembling hands and tired eyes. Martin's heart galloped as seconds ticked by. The man suddenly clutched his chest, groaned, and fell lifeless. The news alerted Martin again. Sudden cardiac arrest claims life of local retiree. His skin prickled with static heat. The television was showing real-time images of death's final seconds. How was this possible? Where was this feed coming from? Was it supernatural? A glitch? Something else? Martin's days began to rotate around this dark spectacle. Channel 19 became his obsession, a grotesque window into imminent death. The more he watched, the more paralyzed he felt, caught between a voyeuristic need to witness and a terrifying compulsion to intervene. A theory formed in his restless mind. Could the TV serve as a warning? If he watched long enough, maybe he could save someone. He tried calling emergency services during one live feed, adrenaline spiking as he told the operator the address flashing briefly on the screen. But the operator insisted no such emergency existed. Frustration gnawed at him. Martin's sleep deteriorated. Nightmares of the spectral images haunted him, the slow slipping away of life, muffled screams, and glassy eyes. Slowly, the apartment darkened as he pulled shades, avoidant of the world. The TV was his only connection now, an eerie clarity amid blurred days. His chase for salvation became a grim ritual. Each night he'd tune to Channel 19, waiting. Sometimes it was a car accident, a silent house fire, a sudden plunge from a rooftop, each scene raw and unfiltered. The people showed no remorse, no warning. Just the irreversible moment before death. One night, however, the broadcast warped, images blinking in and out, then stabilized to reveal a young woman standing on a subway platform, terrified, looking directly into the camera, as if sensing Martin's unseen gaze. Her mouth moved silently, lips forming words he couldn't hear. The train lights rushed toward the station entrance, a monstrous gleam swallowed by the growing roar. Fear accelerated in Martin's veins. This time, the TV didn't cut to static. It lingered, the inevitable getting closer. Martin fumbled for his phone, dialing emergency again. No answer. The line was dead. Heart racing, he bolted out of his apartment, desperate to reach the subway station. The harsh street lamps carved shadows around him, twisting familiar streets into alien corridors. When he arrived at the platform, the woman had vanished. For days after, no broadcast came. Channel 19 showed only static and faint echoing noise, low and guttural, as if the TV itself was mourning. Mental and physical exhaustion consumption. Martin's friends noticed his gaunt face, his jittery hands, but when they asked, he brushed it off. How could he explain a TV that pulled him into death's grip, that broadcast not entertainment but predestination? Then came the letters. They arrived at his door, typed but unsigned. Each letter detailed the deaths Martin had witnessed, complete with circumstantial details and warnings. Do not watch, turn away while you still can, and most ominous of all, you are next. Each time Martin tried to destroy the letters, they reappeared, slipped under the door or stuffed into his mailbox without a trace of the messenger. His sense of reality cracked. Shadows seemed to twist in corners of his vision. The TV's flicker invited him like a lure. His reflection grew gaunt, shadows under eyes deepening. Yet he could not break away. Channel 19 called to him, a siren song of death's final light. One evening at 11:11 p.m., a time Martin had come to dread, the screen revealed a man who looked exactly like himself, sitting in his apartment, mirror image and every detail matching his own surroundings. The man on the screen reached toward the camera, eyes hollow, mouth parted in silent scream. The feed crackled, momentarily showing a dark figure, shadow and static, that pressed forward, looming over the doppelganger. Martin's fingers trembled over the remote. It slipped and clattered to the floor. The TV burst into static, loud and overwhelming, filling the apartment with oppressive, electric buzzing. When the noise subsided, the screen was blank. Only Martin remained, breathless, eyes wide with terror. He realized he couldn't turn off the TV. The power button was dead, the plugs loose and sparking. No matter what he tried, the static returned. Something had latched onto him, a technological parasite feeding on his fear. He spent hours studying the glitches, frantic to understand the dark code that wrote his torment. He learned that Channel 19 was not a channel but a door, a liminal boundary where signals bled into reality, capturing the boundary moments where life meets death. His obsession mutated into madness. He began replicating what the TV showed, visiting scenes from the broadcasts, trying futile interventions. His apartment transformed into a shrine of death, clippings, photos, and scribbled notes. One night, amid the flickering haze, the TV screeched to life on its own, revealing a room identical to Martin's, only a darker version, walls peeling, floors stained, windows shattered through years of neglect. In this twisted mirror, the figure of Martin sat slumped, eyes wide with unending dread. Behind him, the dark shape approached, the shadow from Channel 19. Realizing he was watching himself trapped inside the signal, Martin understood the horrifying truth. The TV didn't just show death's final windows. It imprisoned the souls caught in its gaze, feeding on the living watchers until they too were consumed. The static surged, filling the room with a blizzard of white noise and fractured images. Martin reached out to the screen, hands shaking, desperate to break the invisible barrier. He felt a pull, a cold suction beneath his skin, dissolving sensation into buzzing static. His hand touched the screen, and everything went black. Days later, police found the apartment empty. The vintage television sat unpowered and covered in dust, channel frozen on 19, a pale handprint slowly fading on the screen. No more letters arrived. Channel 19 vanished from the dial. Yet sometimes, deep in the city's night, A faint glow appears in forgotten windows. A flicker, a pulse of static, as if watching, waiting. Like and subscribe for more stories.